Hi and welcome to Off Perspective, where we look at different matters from unpopular angles. Have you ever wondered what would happen if all African Americans decided to relocate to Africa? Where would they begin? Which country would they prefer? Would they be required to have valid visas, or would they be allowed to move into countries of choice unconditionally? What impact would they have on those countries? And most importantly, would they feel that they are finally home and for the first time in their lives know how it feels to belong to a majority group and never ever experience skin color related injustices common in the US? Well, first of all, let's admit that the idea of African Americans relocating to Africa is complex and deeply personal. Blacks' history, identity, and the ongoing challenges faced in the US would definitely influence their decision to move. But let's view some compelling reasons why African Americans should consider going to Africa. First, reconnection to motherland. First things first, every human came from Africa and migrated elsewhere. But since African Americans moved into the US, although forcefully by colonizers more recently than European Americans, they might have better chances of reconnecting than Europeans. Deep down, though some blacks may not be aware of it, there's that occasional desire to reconnect with the land and culture of their motherland. The legacy of slavery and forced migration created a separation from African heritage, and returning to Africa can actually be the beginning of a long journey toward healing historical wounds. I'm sure the ancestors who suffered in the hands of colonizers would smile seeing their descendants finally going back home. It would be a long, warm, and emotional experience for those going back home, because yes, it is home. Many hope blacks stick around a country they are obviously unwanted, stay confused forever about their identity, with occasional uprising against injustices that never make substantial impact but always end up on the losing end. But if African Americans decided and actually did move back home, then everyone, and I mean everyone who has ever taken advantage of them and exploited the injustices for survival, would be very afraid, as they would not know what to expect. Blacks would finally have a sense of belonging and never feel the need to watch their backs or walk on eggshells like they currently do in a country they sadly call home. Second, economic opportunities. Yes, Africa is still a developing country thanks to colonization that distorted growth back then and neocolonialism that see colonizers, masters investors still exploiting African wealth and export it elsewhere. Nonetheless, most African countries offer growing economies with numerous opportunities for entrepreneurship, investment, and career development. As African nations continue to expand, there is potential for African Americans to thrive in industries like technology, agriculture, tourism, and manufacturing. Africa would really grow economically if African Americans relocated there and put their skills and knowledge acquired in the US to work. Africa would become a leading economy in no time. Besides, the cost of living in all African countries is way lower than in the US, making it financially viable for many people to start a new life. 3. Cultural and racial identity. Every adult African American can admit to experiencing systemic racism and discrimination at some point in their lives in the United States. Moving back to Africa would mean an end to ever experiencing such. The fact that Black is majority race in Africa would make African Americans feel more at home since they share similar color and ethnicity. Actually, they will no longer be African Americans or Blacks or other racially based terms. They will just be people, a man, woman, or child, no longer identified by their race once they step into the streets, offices, parties, parks, and other outdoor spaces. Tell me one Black in the US right now who wouldn't want that. 4. Social and political empowerment. Africa is currently at rapid growth stage, something African Americans would feel more empowered by the opportunity to contribute to the growth and transformation of the continent. This means that African Americans can play an active role in shaping the continent's future by engaging in different development efforts. More importantly, since African Americans would now be in spaces where racial equality is normal and routine, they would definitely be able to work, explore, and invest their skills, competencies, and abilities without withholding due to different fears often experienced in the US. Socially, African Americans would really love Africa, as the place has more love than hate. It would be easy to socialize and become members of community. One just need to choose one that fits them. Still, if not a social person, there's space for that too. But it would be a bit challenging for persons identifying as other genders than male or female, or be in non-heterosexual relations, as most African nations lack laws protecting such persons. This does not mean such people don't exist. They do, but are cautious. Ultimately, whether or not African Americans should relocate to Africa is definitely an individual decision that depends on personal ambitions, experiences, and values. Some may see it as a homecoming, while others see their place in the US as part of the ongoing struggle for justice and equality. The choice lies with every Black person in the US. What do you think? Should African Americans relocate to Africa and revolutionize it into a power hub, or should they continue fighting for justice in the US for another 1,000 or more years in hopes that one day they will be recognized and treated with respect and justice they deserve? Is Africa really the future, and what role should African Americans play in ensuring they secure their space and influence in the future? Share your thoughts on the comment section, and don't forget this is an off perspective.